new video after another month of no new scripted videos? Crazy. All jokes aside, I'm here with another video. I know I made a poll to do a how strong are Ainz' summons video, but the research for that is going to take a while, so I thought I'd put this out. Also, thanks a lot for the 30,000+ views on the Ainz video. It's absolutely crazy. I wanted to make this video because I said back in my Achilles video that Merlin, Gilgamesh, and Achilles are my favorite servants. In my livestream Q&A, I mentioned Hassan as well, but I enlisted my 2 Hassan videos because they were kind of bad. So without further delay, let's get started. Now, Merlin is a tough character to scale. In Grand Order, he only appears in 2 singularities that aren't event-based, with only minor anime references in things like Apocrypha, with one of the singularities only being a brief appearance, which we'll cover later. And he's not in any games other than Grand Order / Arcade, so I'll do my best to give you guys an accurate scale on what Merlin can actually do. For starters, Merlin is a caster. But not just any caster, he's the Grand Caster, which is a title granted to the most elite and noteworthy servants, like King Hassan for example. He gains the title after Solomon gave up his title for being a bad guy basically, and one of the requirements to be the Grand Caster is to have mystic eyes, which Merlin has, and that brings me to the first thing I wanted to talk about, and that's Merlin's eyes and clairvoyance. Merlin possesses clairvoyance at an EX rank. Rankings in Fate going from E to A, with EX being above everything and something that can't really be measured. The only other ones with EX rank in this skill are Solomon, Goetia, and Merlin himself. You can argue Gilgamesh has EX clairvoyance considering he has mystic eyes on the level of Solomon and Merlin. In Fate Go Material Book 4, under Solomon, the skill gives the use of the ability to predict the future and grant things like X-ray vision, with Merlin in an event in Grand Order saying he can see the future with this ability. In a Babylonia promotional piece, it says that Merlin has eyes which see the world. Fate Material Book 4 says that Merlin can also see through the past and future on the level of Solomon, and says himself that he watches everything that happens from Avalon. It's said that Merlin's eyes specifically see all within the present, which is supported by the multiple seeing everything scans, and within Babylonia, when the group is asking Merlin to spy on Quetzalcoatl. Merlin is also a half incubus. This comes with the ability to feed off mental activity, as he has no emotions and is considered a parasite which harvests the subtleties of people's hearts and minds through their dreams. He has also shown to be able to teleport himself and others in Babylonia. Another ability he possesses is self-manifestation. This is normally a skill in which only the Beast class can have. This includes beings like Tiamat and Goetia. Independent manifestation, as stated throughout the Fate Go Material books and Arcade Material books, is a skill in which beings can manifest anywhere within the space-time continuum. In Tiamat's profile specifically, it states that it enhances her ability to not be affected by instant death and time manipulation. This is also stated in multiple other profiles for other beasts. It is also worth mentioning that the Merlin we see in Babylonia isn't the actual Merlin until the end of the Singularity. In the final confrontation against Tiamat, Merlin was revealed to still be alive, taking advantage of the incineration of human order to bypass his confinement within Avalon and physically travel to Babylonia to help the party in the underworld. Because Merlin never actually died in proper human history, and his physical body exists within the fairyland or Avalon, and singularities happen separated from human history at different points throughout time. So Merlin can basically just use his self-manifestation to materialize anywhere in time, which I just showed and said earlier. All of this ties into Merlin being immortal. Anytime his body is destroyed, he simply reappears in Avalon and can then re-manifest after some time. Lots of stuff going on with that one, so take that information as you will. All of the previous mentioned abilities are all pretty darn amazing. So what about his actual magic? His main form of magic is illusion magic, or flower magic, but his illusion magic he possesses at an A rank. It can create not only nightmares within one's mind, but also in the real world, with Merlin being able to cover an entire village in an illusion if he really wanted to. It's so potent that he could even hold Tiamat within a cage of dreams. Tiamat's mere awakening causing space-time quakes all throughout Mesopotamia. Tiamat herself is also incredibly powerful, so I'd have to make a separate video on her. Merlin also has very potent defensive magic, as he's able to block Gay Bulg when in a daydreaming state. Gay Bulg being a weapon which rewrites cause and effect and cannot be avoided without at least B-ranked luck, as we saw in Fate's Stay Night, with Arturia partially dodging Gay Bulg. Merlin's magic is also potent enough to stop Tiamat's black mud, which is the Sea of Life and is said to be what the mud of the Holy Grail is. The mud of the Grail being a curse so powerful that it shuts down one's senses, melts the person away, and ignores the concept of blocking. The mud is one of Tiamat's authorities being a law that governs the world and is conceptual. So Merlin is doing some absolutely crazy stuff here. Surprisingly enough, he actually claims to not be that great at magecraft and prefers fighting with a sword. Merlin is an extremely skilled swordsman and has been shown wielding Excalibur, as shown when he fought multiple of Tiamat's new 11 offspring at once, whereas even Ishtar's beams were incapable of piercing their skin. These offspring being above demon gods in terms of raw magic, demon gods being higher dimensional concepts. But what about his phantasm? There's not an insane amount of information I can give for this one. Merlin's noble phantasm is Garden of Avalon, which reproduces the surroundings of the tower where Merlin is locked away. I'll put the description for it on screen, but we don't have an insane amount of information on exactly what it does unless you do some digging. Avalon itself is a place in which it blocks attacks and whatnot up to the 6th dimension, going off of a scan referring to Arturia's scabbard Avalon. But what does Merlin do with it in Babylonia? He uses it along with Mash's noble phantasm to block a skill of Tiamat's called Negagenesis. Negagenesis being a conceptual bounded field that entirely disproves the current evolutionary theory and the predictions of how the Earth was created. By carrying this, Beast 2 nullifies the noble phantasms of servants born from proper human history. In the Babylonia anime, it is referred to as an authority that allows Beast 2 to create a new world by overwriting the current one, similar to a reality marble. The barrier expands and denies all established forms of life, those whose lives are over and have died, allowing it to instantly destroy servants and divine spirits like Ishtar, while giving her space to create new life. In this new life case, it would be the Lamu. So safe to say his phantasm is a defensive ability. Now what about Merlin's actual stats like attack potency and speed? Like I mentioned earlier, he scales to Tiamat's Lamu, which are said to be on the level of demon gods in terms of magic power. Demon gods are said within Grand Order to be higher dimensional, and Merlin scales to and above servants who can harm and combat demon gods. which every servant within the Temple of Time was able to damage and combat these demon gods, which once again are higher dimensional concepts. Divine spirits and gods in general being higher dimensional concepts as well. Considering Merlin is a Grand Servant, he would scale to the upper echelon of servants like King Hassan, who also battles similar opponents to Merlin. And Merlin would scale to people on this level. And if you've seen my Achilles and Gilgamesh videos, then you can get a better idea of where the higher tiers in Fate scale, as the higher tier characters can battle Moon Cell plus level opponents. The Moon Cell being 8th dimensional bare minimum and arguably outer, as it holds realms or dimensions with no concept of distance or time, among many other things, so I recommend checking out those videos for a more in-depth explanation. You can also argue that Merlin scales pretty darn high, as it looks like he wields Excalibur. Excalibur being a weapon which can atomize extra-dimensional gods and fires accelerated light. Excalibur being stated to match Ea in terms of raw power, which can destroy all of creation. This would include the root, as it is a part of creation and beyond dimensional theory, which can scale anywhere from hyperversal to outerversal depending on how you argue it. Which transitions nicely into speed, as characters like Iskandar can dodge said accelerated light from Excalibur. There is a calc that puts it at 60 times faster than light, but could be higher as Excalibur's light is faster than normal light. And while Merlin has the same agility rank as Iskandar, he is still able to battle, once again, the Lamu, which can blitz and overwhelm Ishtar, who has a much higher agility rank. So in this case, it is best to say that Merlin's combat speed is just faster than his travel speed, as he's able to dance around people blitzing Ishtar. This giving Merlin, bare minimum, faster than light to faster than light plus speeds. Other top tier characters like Arturia can battle people wielding items which give them infinite magic energy on the level of the Moon Cell level opponents in Extra being able to cross galactic distances in a conceptual space within an instant, or at least at massively faster than light speeds. There is also the argument for immeasurable speed, as I've said in every one of my Fate scaling videos, as servants are able to move in Solomon's Temple of Time, which is stated to be outside of time, off the temporal axis, while also being beyond time and space. This giving servants immeasurable speed in Grand Order, as people under Merlin in terms of stats can move in said temple. Once again, I highly recommend my Achilles and Gilgamesh videos to get a better and more in-depth scale in terms of attack potency and speed. And that's all I have for you all today. I'll definitely be working on the Ein Summon video, and I'll also be working on a few collab videos on other channels soon. Thank you all for watching, and have a nice day.
その行く末に晴れ渡った青空があることを祈っているよ。